Julie Lyons Bricker is the Energy and Sustainability Manager for the city of Royal Oak, Michigan. And in her position, she helps with the energy issues and championed the 2020 LEED for City certification. She will be discussing her perspective from an owner perspective and the work that she's been doing for 15 years on nonprofit and public sector. And her expertise is part of the Building Council Detroit chapter, and she has been a board member and a treasurer at the Heartland Regional Representative. And also she's a liaison for the community outreach and work groups. The interesting part is she's a Michigan Tech University graduate and she is a PMP. So that's a great to have a PMP discuss this topic. And she has a lead AP of operation and maintenance. Without further ado, here's Julie. Go ahead, Julie.
Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Amari, for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about LEED and project management and the city of Royal Oak. So let's see, I will move to my next slide. So we're going to cover today in my presentation sustainability and LEED for cities, which is a little bit of a departure from the LEED products that you've been hearing about, which are for buildings. The LEED product I'm going to talk about is LEED for cities and communities, which is a product that is more comprehensive for a bigger picture of sustainability. So USGBC's tagline is a new way, green, inclusive, and smart cities. So on my agenda, I'm going to give a little background about Royal Oak and some of the sustainability and initiatives we have, our LEED for Cities process, the additional sustainability efforts that the LEED for Cities helped us move forward on. And then I wanted to show some of our actual greenhouse gas inventory results and talk a little bit about some opportunities and potential sustainability work going forward. So here is a bit of background about the city of Royal Oak. Our population is about 60,000 people and our land mass is about 12 square miles. So you can see in the right hand map that our city is also shaped like a very cute dog. You can always find it on the map if you know that you're looking for a dog. In general, our demographics are listed here. Median income is about 74,000. Median value of owner-occupied unit is about 192,000. The bulk of our residents fall in the age group of 25 to 54, and the bulk of our residents also fall under the Caucasian in racial breakdown. So that's just a little bit about the city to give some context for the project that we worked on through LEED. Existing initiatives that we have in place, we touch on many of the pieces of sustainability, not just energy in buildings. So for carbon reduction, again, we've worked on the greenhouse gas emission inventory. In energy, we have an approved plan, and I track all of our municipal buildings utility of gas and electric to understand how these buildings are working. For waste, we've had a single stream recycling program for years, which works very well for our residents. In water, we have 8 municipal rain gardens and bioswale installations, including the latest large unit, which also has a detention pond, like Patrick mentioned at one of his properties, of 680,000 gallons of holding volume. About air quality, one of the things that we've participated in for a very long time, as you can see, is the Tree City USA. We were the first or second city in Michigan to start with the Tree City USA. For transportation, we have been installing dedicated bike lanes over the past couple of years and sharrows and traffic calming islands to meet some of the goals of our non-motorized plan, which is embedded within our master plan. Oops, sorry, there we go. Okay, and then the last piece of initiatives is about public policy. And we think this is really important also because it helps drive decision making in the future. It drives economic benefits. And so you can see some of the ordinances we have in place include human rights, solar and wind installation, tree replacements, permeable surfaces, etc. Our current mayor has been very forward thinking about sustainability and climate actions for the last half dozen years or so, and he has signed on to a number of climate agreements for global issues and also national sign-ons. We are a member of the U.S. Green Building Council, Michigan Green Communities, the Urban Sustainability Directors Network, and ICLEI. So that's what we have going on and had going on prior to our LEED for Cities work. So now we'll get talking about LEED for Cities. In May of 2019, we had an opportunity to apply for a US GBC Bank of America combination grant to work toward the LEED for Cities version 4.1 certification. So it turned out that our submission earned one of the 15 spots. So we joined 14 other cities across the country, moving forward to actually earn that certification. And so just a little bit of background about the LEED for Cities and Communities. This helps local leaders benchmark performance against national and global standards. It helps demonstrate a commitment of sustainability, in a very comprehensive way, also including resilience and social equity. It helps develop a culture of data-driven decision-making, transparency, and leadership, and is meant to improve the standard of living and quality of life in these cities and communities. So some of the strategies organized in the LEED for Cities are the natural systems and ecology, transportation and land use, water efficiency, materials and resources, and quality of life. So performance in these categories are tracked in two ways. One is that there are prerequisites in a few of these, and then all 5 have a certain number of credits that a city or a community can earn. So one of the things I would like to say, as a PMP and working on major projects, this process was daunting in many ways, mainly because of the prerequisites and the amount of data required. But then again, it was also extremely enlightening because of those same things, because of the prerequisites and the amount of data required. So we are thrilled to be a part of that grant and that cohort working with other communities. And we felt, really enlightened is the word that we have once we figured out about the gaps in our sustainability work and in the initiatives that we had done in the past. And we recognized that they were really piecemealed and not set up in a comprehensive way. So that was another benefit of being part of this LEED for Cities cohort. So one of what I'd like to talk to you now about is some of those gaps and opportunities. So one of the things we learned is our waste stream tracking for commercial and multifamily sectors is non-existent. We have no idea how much waste is going to the municipal landfills from those 2 sectors. So it's a piece that we need to work on. Again, another opportunity would be policies for greener buildings, thinking about building standards, mandating building performance. Some other larger cities have already done this, and it's something that we will probably look into. We also recognize that our current boards and commissions don't necessarily reflect the demographic makeup of our community, and that is something we would like to change. We would like to hear a diverse collection of voices, so that the city really feels like it belongs to everyone. The next to the last thing on this list, it was a really interesting piece, and that was about hazard mitigation, mainly about a failure with the utility infrastructure. If we ran into a disaster where the electricity perhaps was turned off for days, you know, how would we manage that? And it turned out there were some pieces in place, but many were not in place. We had not considered them. But beyond our own small area and thinking about hazard mitigation, we started thinking about who are our partners, who are organizations that we really need to be in touch with and make sure that they are on board with what we have in place and that they recognize their own gaps. And we realized a big potential partner was our local Beaumont Hospital. They have a large Royal Oak campus. And so we were able to talk with them and build a relationship with them. And then also the South Oakland County Water Authority, you know, just mentioning, you know, if we had a disaster, how would we all work together? How would we manage these pieces? And we have now built a relationship and have a commitment to talk about these things at least once a year. So that was a great piece. And then this last one about green space and parks is really interesting, and I have a slide about it. So I also live in Royal Oak, and I was quite aware of the fact that we have many parks around the city. What I didn't know was this, that 98.2% of our city is within a half mile of a park. So there are only 2 spots here, these areas marked in yellow. These are the only places in the whole city where you would be more than half a mile away from one of these parks. So anyway, again, there was a lot of data to go through, many departments to work with, but at the end of all of it, it was again, enlightening, and it gave a greater understanding of where we are as a city and, again, some of our gaps. So let's see, LEED for Cities and Communities certification that was told to us in April of 2020 that we actually earned the designation, which was a thrill, of course, after all of that work, but also because we were a couple months into COVID and feeling a little unsure about what was going on. For us in Royal Oak, we have had continuous successes with our sustainability work in 2020. And it started with this great news in April that we have become the LEED certified city. And in this 4.1 version, we are the 3rd city in the country and the 1st in Michigan to earn it. So that was a very nice certification and award to earn. So the next thing is about what has this LEED for Cities work helped us do in terms of, you know, driving additional sustainability action. And so here are a couple things. In July of 2020, we moved forward having a climate emergency acknowledgement resolution passed by the City Commission. When that was passed, it was paired with tasking staff to create the greenhouse gas emissions inventory, which is our first one and acts as a baseline for data-driven decision-making in the future. We were able to finish that greenhouse gas inventory in late September and built a task force to move to the next step, which is to understand what are the carbon reduction goals that we want to have in 2030 and 2050. During this time also, we earned another grant from the state, this time to do an LED retrofit in our courthouse. And then the last piece here is about the Commission approving those carbon reduction goals for 2030 and 2050. When that resolution was passed, it was paired with tasking staff again to do, this time, a community-wide sustainability and climate action plan. That plan is due in January 2022, and that is what we're working on right now. So I wanted to just go over this greenhouse gas inventory a little bit, because my last slide is going to talk about some opportunities, but also because I'm kind of geeky and I really love seeing all of this data. So one of the things that really struck me is that commercial electricity makes up about 1/4 of our city's entire emissions. The other thing that was really interesting to me was that the third and fourth sectors here, when you add them together, because they're both residential utilities, that's about 33% of our total emissions come from the residential category. And with all of this data, especially these top 7, it really gives us a good idea about where we need to focus our efforts in making reductions in the future. So
one question was, what software did you guys use for this information, if you know it? I mean,
I do. Well, actually, it's yes, the software is called ClearPath.
ClearPath.
And yeah, and the software is included with the membership in ICLEI, ICLEI, which is Global Sustainability Organization. And when you join as a member, then this software is made available to you, as well as technical assistance, which is, of course, a great help for us because we have such a small sustainability set of staff.
Sure.
So thank you for that question. Yeah, and any other, it's good for cities and counties and townships. So, okay.
Thank you, Laura.
Yes. So when we were doing the greenhouse gas emissions inventory, one of the things I was considering is trying to understand the municipal operations separately. So we actually did 2 inventories. We did the community-wide, and then we broke out municipal operations. And my intention for doing that was to make sure that we could move forward on municipal operations carbon reductions. It's much easier for us to make decisions about our own buildings, about the street lights that we take care of, etc. And so I thought it would, show a lot of, not only that we're walking our own talk, but we could make a great deal of difference. And this next slide is something that was shocking to me and to the other staff working on this. Here are the numbers for our municipal operations. Of the total emissions, the city's operations only make up 1.4%. Think of it, 1.4%. So what it did is it made us, start thinking about how do we go back to these very large emitter sectors and figure out how to affect change there. Okay, so this is my quick executive summary and opportunity sheets, and I've mentioned a few of these already on the chart with our emissions, but again, residential energy category is about 33%, commercial energy is about 30%, and commercial electricity by itself is about 25%. So again, with our work with municipal operations, we can't affect that much change relative to carbon emission reductions. We certainly will go forward with energy efficiency in our buildings and our street lights and work toward renewable energy. But the opportunity I see for the construction industry and the architecture industry and the engineering industry, really revolve around the 2 highlighted areas that I have here. There are substantial opportunities in the residential market and the commercial market for help with energy waste reduction, whether that means efficient remodels, retrofitted upgrades, there are all kinds of opportunities there. So, and I should say Royal Oak, is a smaller city, but there is an indication that many cities fall under the same, similar kind of breakdown about where the emissions come from. And so that would lead me to believe that there will be substantial opportunities in many of the cities. And given that our county, Oakland County, is moving forward on sustainability also, stay tuned.